Well, these aren't episodes that we do very often, but we've been on the road now for about 3.5 months. So I thought it was time to give you all a bit of an update as to how we're going, how the gear's going with both the Land Cruiser and the Recon, and what we're looking to do in the next 8.5 months on the YouTube channel, and past that moving on into the future as well. So I'll start with the trip episodes. As you may have noticed if you've been following the channel for a little while, they've been very sporadic. I'll release a couple in a couple of weeks, and then I'll have 2-3 weeks of a gap. And that's just simply because of the time, the lack of time that we're having on the road. Traveling Australia isn't all beaches and just sitting back doing nothing all the time. There's a lot going on and there's a huge amount to see. Doing the YouTube for us is definitely a secondary function. Primarily we're out here to enjoy ourselves, spend quality family time together, and just see as much of Australia as we can. We've got 12 months, it's a limited time frame, and we're lucky enough that we don't rely on income from YouTube and other sources to do that. So although it is something that I enjoy doing and I'll continue to do, it's definitely much of a secondary function. So we are very, very far behind in the production of our YouTube channel. Our last episodes are only back in South Australia, and since then we've done Adelaide, Kangaroo Island, the Victorian High Country, Tasmania, the ACT, and parts of New South Wales. So you can imagine how much data I've got there ready to go for the editing table. And look, I will get it done, it will come out slowly, it's just going to be delayed. This being said, we're having an absolutely awesome time. We're starting to get into a routine now. The kids are currently in the van behind me doing some homeschooling. We've got our days where we just chill out and do nothing, and we have our days where we go out and do as much as we can and jam as many activities into 12 hours of the daylight as we can. So you can rest assured that the trip episodes, although delayed and sporadic, they are still coming, and we'll do our best to get them up when we can. So moving on to our gear though, the Land Cruiser 200 series, I've been running the Donaldson Airbox in that engine for a little while now after dusting the turbos last November. The Airbox itself, very, very happy with. It's been in the car for over 10,000 kilometers now. Hasn't caused any issues. There are a couple of things though I will be mentioning in an episode coming up. One change that I've made to it, plus just a couple of things to note. But overall, still very, very happy with the setup. Damage to the Cruiser, well, we've obviously got the dent that I had in one of my previous trip episodes. See here, it's dented in on these two contour lines. Scratched the paint up here as well, and that is frustrating. Only cosmetic, it's not too bad. I've managed to pull most of it out with a GoPro suction mount, but yeah, it's just one of those things that comes with traveling Australia. We've also gone through a CV axle. So when we were down in Frankston in Victoria, we had a new driver's side CV axle installed, which will be the third CV axle on that side installed in 3 years. So I'm not sure what's going on there, we just seem to be chewing through them, but it didn't snap or cause any catastrophic failure, but it was on its way out. You could hear it clicking every time there was stress in the driveline, and there were definitely a few stressful moments in some of the remote or harder forward drive tracks that we were doing in Tasmania by ourselves, knowing that if that went, it would have been a bit of work to get back out again. But new CV axles in, and we're good in that regards. Engine wise, yeah, we've got a couple of issues going on. I've dusted the turbos. I've accepted the fact that dust has gone through the engine, and now towing the van in some variety of different terrains and loads, the engine is definitely damaged. There is damage caused to the engine. I have no doubt we've lost compression in a couple of cylinders. So Tegan and I have been talking back and forward a lot about this, about what we're going to do, how we're going to move forward, and we're still in conversation about that. Look, the vehicle's still going. I haven't had a compression test done just yet. I'm not sure if I will, to be honest. It's just a very, very small window in that load band that we can feel the engine is not right. The whole engine vibrates. You can hear turbulence in the air intake, and we're blowing out a lot of black smoke. Again, just in a very, very small band in fourth gear at about 80% load at low RPM. So it all points to a couple of cylinders not firing in that small band, but we've managed to work around it. Now, I don't envision it getting exponentially worse over the next 8.5 months, but it's definitely going to get worse. So we're going to keep our eye on that, and I might talk about that later in more detail, but there's still a lot of unknowns going on there, and it's definitely adding to the stress of the trip as well. Down in this area of New South Wales, not so bad, but as we start to head north into North Queensland and then into the NT towards the end of our trip, if that problem persists or gets worse, it's definitely going to cause some issues. So something we're looking at there. But aside from that, the Cruiser's doing very well. Most of the gear is holding up perfectly, and we're very happy with the setup. Moving on to the Recon, the Lifestyle Recon R4T SE. It's absolutely awesome. We are loving it. We have no regrets in buying a hybrid van. Yes, it takes some getting used to. There are some compromises, and there are just a couple of things I would have done differently, or maybe not I would have done differently, but would have some suggestions that could make it a little bit better. And there's two things that I don't like about it off-road, but that's definitely for another video. But overall, it's performing very, very well. We've had just a very, very minor warranty work done on it. Had a little bit of an issue with the fridge. No problem of Lifestyle, that's the Thetford fridge, and one of the parts inside that fridge broke, but that was covered under warranty. And after a lengthy process, we finally got that fixed. But overall, extremely happy. It's an awesome van, and I can't wait to get more information out on it on the channel. So when I released that van initially on the channel a few months back now, I did say that I would be doing a detailed walk around. I know I haven't yet, but it is coming. I'm going to do a 3-part series, one on the exterior and the storage and all the hardware, you know, the suspension and water tanks and whatnot. One's going to be on the interior and how we've set that up and how it can be adapted for our needs. And then one on the off-grid capabilities, so the water tanks, the water capacity, how we fill up when we're off-grid, and also my favorite, which is the electrical system. It's got a pretty decent system in it. We've actually upgraded it again since being on the road, and so it is a powerful system and it does a lot for us, so I can't wait to show you all of that. And that 3-part series I'm going to try and put together all at once and release them in quick succession so you can see it all at once. But if you have any questions or you're interested in a particular part about the Recon, let us know and I'll try and chuck that in there as well. And thirdly, look, moving forward in the next 8.5 months, as I mentioned, I'm always going to try and keep some trip episodes coming out from time to time. Although I'm not sure if they're going to be routine or how often they're going to come out, they will be coming out, and I can always finish them off when I do return back to WA and we return back to a normal lifestyle again. But this being said, we also want to keep up some of our product reviews. This trip, even in the last 3.5 months, we've put a lot of our gear under some decent testing. You know, we've driven about 16,000 kilometers now, and we've used almost everything that we've packed. Anything we haven't used, we've sent back. So all the gear that's in our car and the van is getting a big workout, and something I want to review and talk about in individual segments as we move along as well, just like I have in some of my other product reviews. So we're talking things like the Morflate air inflation system, we've got Weitai, we've got the iTech 120X 12-month review, we've got van security, we've got a new tool, a thermal imaging camera, which I'm really excited to show you guys, and there's a lot of other little products that we're using as well. Is one product that comes to mind in that review that has failed quite poorly, and I'll definitely review that as it stands, because there's a lot of contradictory information out there. So I will try and get some product reviews out there as well, and just how our gear is performing as we travel around. But overall, we are lucky, and the fact that everything is working, well, most things are working as they should. We've got 8.5 months left on this trip. Sounds like a lot of time, but man, the first 3.5 months have gone very quickly. In that as well, we'll also want to put in a few sort of opinion-based videos, I guess you call them. Just things like sort of some of the reasoning behind why Tegan and I chose to buy a hybrid van rather than something like a 22-foot off-road van or any other of the competitors on the market. You know, why we chose this lifestyle in particular, and just some of the reasons that we do things. And if that's something that you want to know, or if you have questions about how we do what we do or why we chose what we chose, these are things that I'd love you guys to tell us so that we can implement them into our videos and try and get some information out there that's accurate and informative, that can help not only yourself but other families or other people looking at traveling Australia as well. So not only does this go for the van, but also for products. If you see products that I'm using that you said, hey, that looks like a good idea, I want a bit more information, let me know. Sometimes I take some of these small products for granted and I don't worry about them, I don't review them, I don't talk about them because I just think they're fairly bland and boring. But if it's something that you want some information of and you think that other people can benefit from that as well, let me know and I can try and formulate a video or at least some more information around them, and it might help not only yourself out but many other people out there too. But rest assured, we're still producing content, we're still trying to get it out, but overall we're having a great time, and hopefully the next 8.5 months we'll be trouble-free and we'll be able to keep going. But again, thank you all for your support. Some of the comments that come in on those trip episodes are very positive, and it's part of the reason that keeps us going. There have definitely been times I thought about packing these cameras away for good, but it seems that you guys are enjoying it, and it's good to see. So we'll keep on doing it, but hopefully we'll see you pretty soon in the next episode of Exploring Oz. Cheers, guys.